next thing you know, a word on my mirror has turned into a whole bloody book. My
Vero,
parents
amiga.
didn't speak English. That's not their first language.
Yes.
And now their oldest has written a book in English,
Yes.
35,000 effing words.
Yay, baby.
And it's just, it is wild. It is wild. And they're so proud of me.
And you'll win in life by having your soul on fire. Welcome to the Soul Powered Revolution, the essential podcast for high-achieving professional women who are done playing small. I'm Coach Mo, ex-CEO, ex-COO, and creator of the Soul Powered Method that has transformed over 2,200 executive women's careers. Each week, we decode the strategies that actually work for women at the leadership level while keeping your soul intact. Because true power isn't about working harder. It's about leading from your soul. If you're ready to stop dimming your light and claim the success you deserve, you're in the right place. New episodes drop weekly. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and join the revolution of women leading from their soul power. Let's dive in. Hey, welcome to another episode of Soul Powered Revolution. And this is the executive series where we talk to high-powered, achieving, awesome professional women who are rocking it on their own right. And a friend and a mentor of mine, Veronica Romney, who is the owner, founder, creator of this amazing concept in marketing called identity marketing and the author of Identity Marketing. Veronica, welcome. And please introduce yourself to all of the other little nuggets that you want to make sure that we know about you. Please and welcome.
Okay. Well, thank you. First of all, I identify as somebody who deeply loves Coach Mo. So let's start with that. Obsessed.
Okay.
Love everything that you do, what you stand for, who you are, how you show up so unapologetic, so big in the world. It is such an example to me every time I'm in your aura.
Thank you.
It's not enough. More auras. Hi, I'm Veronica. Most people just call me V because it's just fun. And I identify positively, affectionately as a marketer for almost 20 years. Started off in corporate marketing, working at Ancestry.com, deploying all of those emails.
Know about it. Yeah.
Left corporate full-time 2017, did my own thing, marketing entrepreneur all the way. And now in a consulting capacity, in a speaker capacity, as a workshop facilitator, as a faculty member for the ANA, I now work with corporations and associations to help them do better marketing and help them also foster a better culture, because if your people aren't feeling it, your best work's not coming out either.
Right.
So everything to do with marketing, whether it's leading it, teaching it, being an example of it, I just am obsessed with the craft.
Yeah.
It is, other than my 15-year marriage, this is the longest relationship I've ever been in. And we are still very much in love. So here we are.
That's cool. That's cool. And I have to notice the boxes behind you. What is that, Veronica?
It's a wall. So yes, I also now can say I am a brand new author of a book called Identity Marketing. It's so beautiful. It's my signature red.
And it is your signature color as well. Let's not miss that little detail. Okay.
That rust red is my thing. Anything dirty is my color. But we did these limited, kind of special release boxes where brands that we feature in the book donated some surprise gifts. And so it's like a mystery box with your book and a whole bunch of goodies, both digitally and tangible. And so those are getting shipped out literally later today. And I'm so excited.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Congrats on the book. I have an inkling what it takes. I've written 2 smaller books.
It's a beast.
And you've written a very nice chapter book with all the things and the tools and everything that someone would want as a how-to guide to follow your methodology with identity marketing. But before we get into the specifics of your book, let's get into you. How does a daughter of Cuban immigrants, and I want to emphasize immigrants, here you are, a product of Cuban immigrants. I'm sure that there were challenges that you had in being successful in the world. What does it mean to you to leave this type of legacy and lead this type of life that you are inspiring and leading so many others in your field?
Well, it's interesting. So my parents were literally physically just here in North Carolina visiting us. And we were even having a conversation around the table about like early memories where I remember people screaming at my dad and my
Mhm.
mom to learn how to speak English and speak
Mm.
better English and just like
Uh-huh.
very
Yeah.
aggressively being, racist.
Mhm.
And I'm the oldest. And so I do remember more stories than my siblings do for sure.
Mhm.
And now, fast forward, my mom is like buying volumes of books and she's telling the rest of my family. And so that the rest of my family, like, Veto's an author. Veto wrote a book. Like,
Vero,
my
Vero
parents
amiga.
didn't speak English. That's not their first language. They had
Yeah,
to learn it with no instructor, no courses, no
sure.
teaching, just listening
Yes.
to soap operas and
Yeah,
English,
yeah.
radio stations, to be honest,
Mhm.
struggling through it. And now all of their sacrifices to birth their children in a free country. And
Yes.
now their oldest has written a book in English,
Yes.
35,000 effing words.
Yay, baby.
And it is wild. It is, and they're
Yeah,
so proud of me. And it's just so humbling. And
yeah,
I wouldn't even be in a position that I'm in had it not been for literally a road of tears of sacrifices on their part to bring
yeah,
us.
yeah. And that's a fantastic story and a great journey.
Mm,
I have known you for a few years now,
yeah.
and you and I met when you had a mentoring program
Yeah.
for uh, let's call it wannabe slash marketers who needed to learn a little bit more of the craft. And I
Yes.
put my ops and marketing manager in that
Yes.
program, and together we took a journey. Um, you know that I help women reconnect with their soul self before
It's the
we help them
best.
advance in their
Yes.
careers. And
Hmm.
nothing's more identity based than who we are at the soul level.
Hmm.
As a human being who has a divine connection and a divine purpose,
Yeah.
this lights up a human being.
Yeah.
You had to connect deeply with yourself in order to create this framework. What internal barriers did you have to overcome in your process?
It's a really good question. And this is why I was so excited to talk to you because we are such kindred spirits when it comes to the way that we see the world and
Yeah.
women looking in to be the best out and like,
Yes.
oof. So I wrote this book the summer of 2024. And when I walked into 2024 January, this was not on the resolutions list. This was not on the to-do list. This was nowhere in my peripheral whatsoever
Mhm.
because my little sister, who is 32, had just gotten diagnosed with aggressive
Yes.
breast cancer in
Yes.
October 2023.
Uh-huh.
So I walked into 2024 telling my entire team, we're not launching, we're not doing, I'm out. I'm out.
Mhm.
I don't even know if I'm going to have a sister by the end of this year because it
Right.
had already gone from tissue to lymph nodes, which is like devastating, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to be wildly present and available. And they live in Florida, and I was commuting every month and just being there for the phone calls of tears, right? Like just
Yeah.
holding that type of space.
Right.
And so watching my little sister go from never having to identify as a cancer patient to now having to identify as a cancer patient, a breast cancer patient.
Mhm.
Now she's a breast cancer survivor, right? So like there's this new identity in just in the last
Yes.
couple months.
Yep.
Seeing my parents have to struggle with like now we're the parents of a
Mhm.
child with cancer. When did that,
Yeah.
like how could that
Yeah.
have happened to us?
Sure.
Also the impact that it had on me, like I'm just being really honest and vulnerable. Like I've always put health and my physical appearance as a priority.
Mhm.
But if I'm, being honest, it was more vanity driven.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
when your sister gets breast cancer and you don't know if she's going to live a long life,
Yeah.
I've taken my identity of being a fit individual to a whole other level. Now it's has nothing to do with vanity. It's everything to do with like longevity. I want to be a centurion. I want to live as long as possible. I want to be
Mhm.
independent.
Mhm.
I'm the weirdo that scans barcodes on food labels to see if it has carcinogenic ingredients. It's hidden. Like I've become that person. And so
Mhm.
early in 2024, because I'm also one of those humans that writes motivational things on my bathroom mirror,
Mhm. Mhm.
I actually wrote the word identity. Nothing to do with anything to do with business or market. I just wrote identity because my identity was changing.
Yes.
Valerie's, my sister's identity was changing. My whole family's identity was
Yes.
changing.
Mhm.
And so I wrote identity because it just was like the power word, the word that just was like it
Uh-huh.
encompassed what was happening.
That felt like a beacon for you to.
Yeah. And then I mean, because you and Sydney were inside the Rainmaker residency, which is where I help marketers become rainmakers and
Mhm.
CEOs see themselves as visionaries and have a
Mhm.
visionary KPI. And like I was upgrading all of these people's professional identity so they could do their best work. I'm like, oh my gosh, like identity's everywhere. It's not just happening to me personally, but
Right.
I've been sitting on this. And I didn't call it that, but I was like, yeah, like, of course, you can't rise up to the occasion unless you are rising up to your greatest potential, which is a new identity. It's like the big leap and, all these things.
Yes.
And so slowly but surely, a couple weeks go by, and next thing you know, a word on my mirror has turned into a whole bloody book on all things identity marketing. And we have an entire section at the back, which is like identity beyond marketing and sales, which is leadership, culture, team.
Did you feel that it was channeled? Did you feel that it
Oh,
was sort of
100.
delivered to you?
100. I mean,
Yeah.
divinely,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Like I
Mhm.
got one of those, the taps on the shoulder. And like, it's interesting because everybody receives those drops, universe,
Mhm.
God, whatever you subscribe to. Mine, I know what it is because it's a compulsion to move. Like
Mhm.
it's like a push on my middle part of my back to like
Yeah.
go.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what happened. We wrote the book in 60 days.
Yeah.
That's
That's,
wild.
yeah, that's, definitely you were live streaming from the source.
That's good. I like that. I like you and your little word truffles. I like it. That's good.
And so you had a choice though to ignore that.
Sure.
What what is it in you, or what
Yeah.
did you have to believe in order to allow
Oh, that's a
that
good
divine
question.
channeling and your talents and
That's a good
skills to
question.
come together to create a thing?
Well, I'm not a writer. I don't know. I mean, I certainly didn't identify as a writer. I proudly have worked deeply for so many years on like the craft of public speaking. So I identify as a keynote speaker and I'm an
Mhm.
orator and I like to express verbally and I have all the
Mhm.
Latin expressions and gestures to go with it. But I thought like at first it was like, well, this could just be a really great keynote. Like this could be a really
Uh-huh.
great package 60-minute, 90-minute
Mhm.
keynote that I could, sell.
Mhm.
But then the difference between a keynote and a book is a keynote is meant to like, keynote. I'm arguing for a persuasive argument for a key concept that will
Yes.
change how you solve something pre conversation post.
Yeah.
A book is prescriptive. It's how
Mm.
to. It's the
Mhm.
space, the container for a formula. And so like I didn't want people just to like think it was cool identity marketing or be impressed or inspired. I wanted them to deeply do what I do best, which is to take action. I'm such an action taker. It bothers me
Mhm.
deeply when I can't execute.
Yeah.
And I felt like a book would is the container for execution, and it had space for all the ideas, and I had a whole big whiteboard, and I had like probably 100 different colored post-its because I'm that nerd, and it was just different stories that I wanted to tell, which again, you don't in 60 minutes you can't do that. And so I think it
Mhm.
was just, again, it
Right.
was the container that held the space for what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you were transforming your identity,
Yes,
the personal stuff going on with your
still am.
sister and your family sort
Yeah.
of reorganizing itself
Yeah.
around that, and you being inspired and channeled to write this, I am just guessing
Mhm.
that there could have been some self-doubt and some
Oh
wounds in
yeah.
there that you had to heal up, navigate. How did that go for you?
Still in it. I told you right before we turned on, Showtime. I'm not sleeping.
Mhm.
I'm not sleeping. It hasn't been this bad since I literally had a newborn. Like, and I think it's interesting because I'm in this weird space. I am more logically minded and more logically oriented as a person than I am more emotionally based.
Mhm.
But my logic and my emotion are not friends right now, meaning logically I know people will really enjoy this volume of work. I have so much social proof. We've implemented this framework with the University of Utah, Burger King, I mean, like, I have a volume of
Right.
examples where the
Yeah.
framework is sound, the
Mhm.
book is fun,
Yeah.
people are really enjoying the keynotes that I've already delivered. Like, I logically I got it.
Right.
But physically, subconsciously, inside of myself, I can tell that I'm bracing for impact
Mhm.
because I'm anxious, I'm nervous, I'm scared that,
Mhm.
like, what if people don't like it? Or what if it doesn't do what I hoped it would do, which is really kind of a little bit of a marketing revolution. I'm a little, Cuban revolutionary over here. It's
There we
in the
go. Stirring
DNA.
it up. I heard once that one of the most vulnerable things a human being can say is to open their hands up and say, "Here, I made this."
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm in it, right? So like I now can say I'm an author. Am I a good author? To be determined by who? I don't know. Like, I also
Mhm.
am sending the book to, Seth freaking Godin, who was on my podcast, who is like on the Mount Rushmore of marketing legends.
Right.
And I'm sending him the book. And now I'm like, what if he doesn't like
I
it?
heard
Like,
I heard your podcast.
those are the thoughts that
Yeah.
flood
Right.
the corners
Yeah.
of the doubt, the shadows that are happening.
Right.
And there's so many of those little moments of
Mhm.
doubt that collectively they're avoiding, or they're preventing me from sleeping. How about
And,
that?
I know as a professional woman, we don't like to talk about being a woman being
Yeah.
different. There's an element where we'd rather just ignore it and just go on our success journey and pretend that doesn't exist. But let's face
Yes.
it, uh, as a woman, becoming successful and navigating all the things, um, it's part of the journey. It's part
Yeah.
of the journey to break through. And as a Cuban immigrant, as a female,
Yeah.
um, marketing does have a lot of females in it, but the big names, the big voices, a lot of men.
Yes. A lot.
So both of us work in this space of helping women
Mhm.
excel because a lot of marketers are women. So you're doing the same
Yes.
thing in a different angle. What would be some of the nuggets that you would say? And then we're going to dive into some of the stuff with your book.
Sure.
What would be some of the nuggets that you would say to women who are navigating their power, that you've learned, or that are little nuggets from your method and identity marketing?
Yeah, there's so again, I've been able to take this on the road with me, and I've been able to do some workshop facilitations for some organizations. And you're right. Most, I would say all marketing departments that I've been exposed to have both male and female energies and presence.
Mhm.
Um, but it's very interesting because I will ask the groups or the cohorts that I organize to get up and present, right, their genius, the ideas, the things that they were inspired and they wrote and they came up with, the taglines, the slogan, the whatever.
Mhm.
And it's really sad. Most of the male peers have the energy of like, yes, king. Okay, I guess. All right, we're going, and
Yeah.
women physically, you can tell in their body disposition, you can tell in how
Yeah.
they cross themselves, they hide, they shrink, they literally
Yeah.
lower it's
Yes.
insane.
Yes.
And so I see it, and then I will have to, what I do privately is I'll kind of go up to a female in that kind of stance, or that
Mhm.
emanating that type of, small energy, and I'm like, you will have the same amount of airspace, so help me. like
Yeah.
like it's
Right.
one of those nudges that only a
Mhm.
feisty Latina can give with a
Mhm.
smile. Like, come on.
Mhm.
But yes, it is really hard to watch that over, and it doesn't matter which organization, doesn't matter if it's a Fortune 100 organization or it's a small business organization. Like, it's interesting to me how much I think we as women need another strong female to give permission, because
Right.
damn, they don't, it's not happening in their
No,
workplaces.
it's really not. And,
No,
um, I hear about this all the time on our clarity calls
I
that we
can
do.
only
That's our
imagine.
discovery call before we work with someone to determine if we can help them. And we've worked with over 2,000, 2,200 women over 10 years.
Wild.
And um, I know a lot of truths that women are navigating, not just because of my executive career. I mean, it was my reality as well,
Totally. Have
especially as
empathy.
a nurse coming into my career,
Yeah.
nurse, female, doctor, male. I mean, that was the paradigm
Classic.
that I came into.
Yeah.
And when I have been doing, so I've been doing this work for 10 years. I came to work with you probably year 7.5, 8.
Hmm. Hmm.
And my program was called Kick-Ass Career Coaching because I had launched it originally with the feeling I wanted women to feel kick-ass.
Yeah.
And then my advanced programs were badass. So that was
Yeah.
sort of like the feeling
Yeah.
state.
I love it.
But what my message really was is to come into your soul
Hmm.
and to be in that power.
Hmm.
And over those first, 5, 6, 7 years, I was saying come into your soul. And I had a program that wasn't called that.
Yes.
And as I was coaching women, they all resonated with a video that they saw on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram when I said soul and your career and soul. And when I was marrying those two concepts on my videos, which is my truth, that I came through with my breast cancer journey.
Right.
I'm like, I'm hearing my clients say that that's what they're identifying with in my messaging.
Yeah.
Maybe I should change the name of everything I do.
Yeah.
And Sydney, my operations and marketing manager, and I went through your some of your first identity marketing cohorts.
Intensives. Yeah.
And we had thought that was going to be a good idea for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a marketing expert.
Mm-hmm.
I am someone who was like hearing my clients
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to have sort of my different message out there, have more resonance. And when we went into your identity marketing workshop, it was all the roads were leading up to that. And your sort of thing is shifting from buy this, which as a coach, I'm not really having someone buy something.
Correct.
But they are engaging with a process.
Yep.
And so we want women to feel the shift from buy or enter this coaching program to be this. So be soul powered.
Yes.
And your identity marketing and where we were and our relationship and working with you, just all that sort of came together like the perfect good storm. And I mean, it just allowed us to really have this very congruent messaging from who I am in the world and how I want to help women into their power.
Mm.
What resonates from how I found my power through my breast cancer journey. And now that messaging really does help everything we do. Soul Powered Leadership Academy, Soul Powered Communicator, Soul Powered Leaders, Soul Powered Women, Soul Powered Dream Life. All of the aspects that we do, we're helping women first and foremost from the inside out. And as I'm in that session, the workshop with you, everything you were doing is exactly what I do in my coaching. And I was sort of like in a parallel universe.
So funny.
Talk a little bit more about that from your perspective, how you guide people through this transformation.
Okay. Here's what's interesting to me. And I appreciate your trust in my care. So thank you. And putting your team in my care, which is even a greater, I think, form of reverence that I carry, because like, it's like, handing your kid over.
Right.
I'm a marketer. I've been a marketer for almost 20 bloody years. And yet I have to recruit marketers to help me with my own marketing. Why? Because in spite of my skill and knowledge and self-proclaimed identity, I think it's objectively impossible to see your label through your jar.
Yeah.
Like you're all up in it. So even though it was right in front of your freaking face the whole time, screaming.
What do I do with that? Is it even a thing?
Right.
Should I do it? Maybe I just
want to validate that. Okay. Because even I know that to be true for myself. Like I need I need mirrors. I need other people that I trust to like reflect.
Yeah.
With that said, what you do so well, which is like, I mean, that's why you're in the freaking book, Mo. That's why you're in the legends section. Is that, you invite women to upgrade their identities. And my whole thing with identity marketing, first, let me define it. Identity marketing is connecting your brand so deeply with your consumer's identity, who they are, but also more importantly, who they wish to become, that they will literally be buried in your brand, which is why you see Harley Davidson, not buyers, hogs buried in Harley Davidson caskets in their riding leathers, right? That's why people will tattoo brands on their skin, like Nike employees. Nike is a great example of both great identity marketing for consumers, but identity marketing for their team. Like the diehard employees, they will tattoo the swoosh on their skin and call themselves Eakins, which is Nike spelled backwards. Right? You're inviting people, which is the whole premise of the book. The world doesn't need more buy this energy, which I would argue is more masculine because it's more outcomes based, more achievement based. Buy this to have this, buy this to unlock this or do something. But the truth is, like, just the same thing with habits. If you're chasing good habits by chasing an outcome, those don't stick, that was James Clear's entire argument in Atomic
Yes.
Habits.
Yeah, loved that book. It's
20 million copies sold.
yeah,
Everybody buys at the beginning of the
it's such
year.
truth. Everything is in there.
Chapter 2, he makes the whole distinction. If you're
Mhm.
chasing an outcome, your habits won't stay.
Yeah.
If you have
You need
habits
discipline
formed,
and you need hard work to make it happen.
well,
It
no,
won't
but
persist.
yes, and his whole thing is like, if your habits are coming from an identity, they stay.
Yes.
So like if you're trying to get fit, kiss that goodbye February 1st.
Yep.
If you already I identify as a fit person. And
Yep.
because I already identify as a fit person, I will work out June 1st and January 1st. I will
Mhm.
buy certain workout apparel. I will eat a particular way. I'm going to affirm my identity through my choices and my purchases.
Yes.
So I feel like the bulk of the marketing that's being taught and that I've personally executed forever is a very outcomes based marketing messaging. It's a very buy this energy. And I'm saying in this book, in this argument of mine, like, what if it was more be this energy,
Mhm. Mhm.
become this,
Mhm.
self actualization messaging versus pitch slapping your way into purchasing from me?
Right.
And you already intuitively, as a non identifying marketer, do that so well because you are literally helping women almost like in some capacity that's it's a return to self,
Yes.
but it's also an unlocking of a version they maybe have never even known that they are like. You do both, which I think is really interesting with the work that you do, because
Mhm.
identity can be a return to a previous identity that was lost,
Mhm.
or it can be an identity that you have yet to unfamiliarize yourself. Like, who
Right.
could I become if I was just unapologetically myself and
Yes.
powered from within?
Yes. And there's two words that are in the female zeitgeist of professional and career language that are paradigm or limiting beliefs. One is the
Mm.
glass ceiling
Mm-hmm.
and one is imposter syndrome. Both of them make it real that we
Mm-hmm.
have limits.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't love either of those statements
Yeah.
because they they identify
Mm-hmm.
women's career journey in particular
Mm-hmm.
with a predisposed
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I grow in my career, I'm going to have a problem at some point hitting that glass ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm successful, I'm going to have a problem really feeling that that's who I am.
Mm.
I've coined the word job dysmorphia now.
Like body dysmorphia. Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
genius. I like
Thank you.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because really, it's
Oh, it's so
just
good.
something that is out of sync with our identity.
Totally.
And if
Totally.
if we can help women in particular, the work I do, upgrade their identity,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're actually going to get pickier
Mm-hmm.
about the companies they work for,
Yeah.
the level of
Yeah.
compensation,
Yeah.
the type of role and scope, and
Yeah.
where they are in the org chart.
Yeah.
And this then leads a human being to say, I only want to work at companies
100.
with
100.
aligned values.
Yeah, it affirms their identity.
Yeah,
I will behave this way. I will not there will be no concessions made. I
that's right.
cannot, because of the identity that I hold to be true.
Right. And leapfrogging over into the work you do,
Mm-hmm.
my sort of corporate cynicism over the years
Yeah.
has been that companies will come up with a mission vision statement, have their values on their website. They'll have a whole thing about what employees are saying about working there. But that doesn't have to necessarily be true.
Yeah, it's the greatest form of hypocrisy.
Right. So that can be like an attractor or a draw or
Yes.
messaging.
Yes.
But what you're saying is companies, you better get yourselves aligned in your corporate identity
Yes.
and values,
Mm-hmm.
because not only is that the next generation of
Mm-hmm.
brand affinity and
Mm-hmm.
people buying your services, whatever that might be,
Sure.
but it's also what people are looking for.
Totally.
People are
Okay.
no longer willing to eat things, do things, buy things, go
No.
want to travel. Like if we found out that Marriott was, whatever, and it didn't align with our values, I'm not staying at Marriott anymore.
I just had a very negative Marriott experience, so that resonates. Actually, I want to tell you a story. I want to
Yeah.
tell you a story about I recently got to facilitate a private workshop for Burger King in
Yes.
Miami.
Mm-hmm.
This was last week, and I mean, listen, my kids, they sing the song like BK, have it your way, you rule.
Yeah,
Like they're so
sure.
excited. It was very
You rule.
exciting that mommy
You
was going to
rule.
go work with Burger King,
Yeah.
even though I don't eat fast food. Anyways,
Let's help them be them, though.
correct. Yeah.
Right?
So I
Yeah.
fly out to Miami, and I have this whole, I have the slides, I have the workbook, I have all the material. And somewhere in the very early slides of my presentations, I usually pose the question to the room, like, raise your hand if you identify as a marketer. Now, mind you, I was being paid to go in a room of 50 people who reported through the marketing department. So I was on the plane going through my slides like I normally do. I'm like, oh, I got to take this slide out. Like, what an oxymoron. Like, I shouldn't get up there and be like, who identifies as a marketer? And everyone's like, bro, like,
We're in the room.
sis,
Yeah.
like,
Right. Right.
come
Sis.
on. Like, hello. My kids, bro. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so, and for whatever reason, Mo, I felt like I should keep it,
Yeah.
which was interesting. And this
Yeah.
is why women desperately need to listen to their intuition. Like, please, when you
Yes.
have that moment of doubt or
Yeah.
you have that inclination that maybe you should just listen. You'll be rewarded with more intuition. And so I
Yeah.
just had that feeling, keep it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to look like an idiot. Fine. I'll put myself out there. So I'm in a room of 50 people who are only there because they identify on the org chart as
Yeah.
marketing oriented, marketing
Right.
department.
Mm-hmm.
And I pose the question, how many of you identify as a marketer? And less than 30% raised their hand. And I was like, what?
I do data.
What?
I do copywriting. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And I just had
That's
this
great.
really, it was profound for me because I was like, wait a minute. The rest of my entire presentation is based off the bloody assumption that you in this capacity identify as a marketer,
Right.
and you don't. So how much are you actually going to absorb the education that I have prepared for you for the next 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
hours? They
Yeah.
won't. They won't, because they won't have a sense of ownership
Yeah.
because they don't identify. So then I had like, okay, we're going off the script.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take a pause to be like, let's define what marketing really is. And then let me ask the question again, if whether or not you identify as somebody who ethically persuades somebody to do something for their benefit. But like, I share this with you, and I was so excited to share it on this show, because it's like, how many of us are in leadership capacities where we're supposed to like get the best out of somebody or to
Mm-hmm.
teach somebody,
Mm-hmm.
but you're doing it assuming variables that are not actually happening,
Right.
like someone's core identity, and even if it's in their job title,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild to me.
Yeah. And there's also a bit of a negative
Mm-hmm.
aspect
Mm-hmm.
to marketing and sales, which of course marketing
Mm-hmm.
comes before the sale.
Yes, we're cousins.
There's like this weird, I'm not supposed to be smart enough to manipulate people's ideas of what they want and what's good for them. And I face that on a regular basis. I was just telling my clients a couple of days ago that I felt like it was time for me to share a message on my Facebook group. And I, from time to time, will get inspired and I'll go on my Career Coach Mo Facebook group and go live while I'm on my walk or
Those are the best.
spontaneously, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this one time, this probably happens all the time, but this one time last week or just recently, I said to myself, what am I doing?
Mm.
Who cares what I have to say?
Mm.
I really went into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's my thing that I'm thinking about. Why would I, like a real self-doubt spiral?
Sure.
And then of course the flood of all of the clients who have said, when I heard that on a video, it changed my life. One of our clients just saved her son's life with a book I gave her. Like, it's just, there's too many things. And I know that we could say, well, Nike, how are they really helping people? Or Burger King, how are they really helping people? But everything that we do, that we then step into that identity is a risk. And I think as a marketer, we're constantly taking risk that what our values are are going to resonate with someone else. What our identity is going to resonate with someone else. And there's a whole lot of confidence packaged in there. And if we identify ourselves with a marketer, we're saying that the way I message my identity and share it with you is important enough for me to want to step into sharing it with you and to possibly say, hey, are we a match? Are we
Ooh,
connected?
yes.
It's sort of like first date type of energy. Dive into that with me.
Ooh, this is really interesting. So, not to pull from Seth Godin, but shall we?
Sure, pull
Shall we?
wherever. Yeah.
Why the freak not? He is who
Yeah.
he is. So I had him on my podcast, and like by the way, guys, like I was not cool. I was very sweaty, but I
You're
looked
a total
cool.
fangirl, I
Oh,
got to
I
say,
was. I totally was.
which understood. Okay,
I
understood.
totally
He's been a marketing guru for 20 plus years.
But somewhere in the middle of the conversation, I think I started to like get vulnerable with him a little bit where I was like, it's really aggravating. It's so defeating. It's so frustrating when people tell me like, I hate marketing or marketing,
Mhm.
marketing's
Yeah,
manipulation.
yeah.
And he kind of was like, well, to be fair, we kind of earn it. We earned that reputation. There's been so
Mhm,
many shitty marketers who have manipulated. And he gave
mhm.
this really incredible section of the podcast where he's like, the two litmus tests that he'll always ask himself is like, if you weren't getting paid, would you do what you were doing?
Yeah.
And he's like, how many marketers, as soon as the dollar is gone, they ain't doing what they're doing? I'm like, fair. And
Mhm,
he's like, and number two, if you stop doing what you were doing, would you be missed? And I was like, oh, right. But he talked about how with marketing, there are grifters, there are
mhm,
hustlers, there is this
mhm,
culture, and then there is the purist and the ones that are trying to fight the good fight.
mhm.
And so in the face of shitty marketers or manipulative marketers, I feel, to be honest, what I left with that conversation was more of like, I am morally obligated to do what I'm doing
Right.
because bad leaders and bad marketers don't need more tools and attention.
Yes.
It's actually great leaders who don't even recognize their greatness, or
Yes.
great ethical marketers who are
Mhm.
discouraged because they don't want to have this buy this energy, but how else am I
Yes.
supposed to do it?
Yes.
And so it's people like you, it's people
Mhm,
hopefully like myself
mhm.
that like in the spite of how hard it is to run a small business and in all of the, oh my gosh, the wish wash of doing what we do for so long, we're still putting up the good fight
Mhm,
because we are trying to empower those that actually need what we have, because the bad
mhm.
ones don't need what we have.
Well, and that's what I always say to my clients
Ugh,
also. It's manipulative people who have been out for their own good
100%.
that have paved the way,
100%.
and we should put these tools in good people's hands.
Yes. Yes.
We need to help empower the lighthearted and the lovely and the
Yes.
generous
Yeah.
um, with the same tools so that they can have the equal fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for my heavenly type of like go and do and don't ask why. I'm like, okay, and like even how I wrote the back of the book, or how I've written some of the description around the book, I'm trying so desperately to call out the person who feels the way that you and I have felt around marketing,
Hmm.
which is like, buy this, do this, limited time only. So while supplies last, like, yeah, people are still buying, but not like they used to, but you still have
Yeah.
to hit your quota. So what choice do you have?
Right. Right.
If that's you and you feel like you're jeopardizing your brand's integrity, whether corporate or personal brand, let's be
Hmm.
honest,
Hmm.
or you're stifling good marketing creativity because that, it's too risky, then what are your choices? And that's the invitation. What
Yeah.
if no buy this, it's be this,
Hmm.
and then here's what I'm secretly hoping, Mel, between us.
Your
You
master
give
plan.
you give the people what they want, which is like a better way to do marketing.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, this is what I don't know to be true yet, is that as they dive into this nature of work, they realize their identity is also being upgraded, because that's really what it's all about to me.
Hmm. Yes. And that's being a bright light in the world.
Hmm.
When we can really, truly own our power,
Yeah.
and I call it our soul power. This is the whole basis of uh
Yeah.
sort of my message to women: be powerful in a way that is you power, not
Correct.
them power or that power,
Correct.
but you power.
Yes.
And I know that so many women have been shut down by being themselves,
Hmm.
In some ways, it's just being a female in a male's game.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just being sort of in discord because they're not in their power. So when they speak at a meeting or do something, it's awkward
Sure.
and it's missed. Like they miss
Sure.
the mark, so to speak. So they're like, "Oh, I can't do that, or I shouldn't do that,"
Yep.
or they get criticized. How do you keep proceeding in this, especially in this journey where your light
Hmm.
is bright?
Yeah.
You've chosen to shine a bright light. How do you make sure that you're not sort of,
Mm.
I don't know, taking the road off to the side? I don't
Yeah.
I don't expect you have indefatigable energy, but
Uh,
how do you keep the brightness going for yourself?
well, I've been told I'm too much many times.
Oh, that's a
Yeah, men,
male,
when
female.
I was dating,
Oof.
I had one guy who told his
Oh,
mom I was
mm,
too much. I've
yeah.
had women in my 20s, they said that that I intimidated them. In my
Mhm.
30s, they're saying like you're hard to read. So now I'm the problem, not them, but really it's their
Oh
insecurity that's
gosh,
saying what
yeah.
they're
You're
saying.
hard
But
to read.
yeah, right.
You're an open book, pun intended,
I
okay?
know. Oh yeah, that's good. Damn it, you're so good at these. Fatigue. So I both men and women in some form or fashion have expressed that who I am makes them uncomfortable in some
Mhm,
capacity. And so can you
mhm.
not?
Right.
Um I also, just keeping it real,
Mhm,
recently discovered that I had made somebody cry in this really intimate group setting. This is now 2 years ago. And I spoke with this woman for maybe like 10 seconds in passing,
mm,
but she in my energy of me being just so me in like
mhm,
I mean, mind you, we're in like this little retreat in a house with like pajamas on. It was,
mhm,
but it was a business group technically.
mhm.
And I think me just being me made her tear up.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying that to like make fun of somebody. I'm saying that because it has more to do with her than it has anything to do with me, because I had clearly, I don't even remember this. And two, there was no intentions ever to offend, but it happens. I'm saying that me being Mimo has had both
Yes,
positive and negative
yes.
ramifications.
Mhm,
Now, younger version of me would have had that story really upset me, and I would have been like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. What could I, like it, not that I've ever been a people pleaser, but I don't ever seek to do harm." And so I would have probably internalized that for a long time. Like
mhm,
what's wrong with me and my countenance? I could have ever made somebody get emotional. And now that I've grown and I've learned more through psychology, therapy, everything that I do,
mhm.
you know, our reactions and our emotions are ours to own and our responsibility. And so like if somebody's having both a positive or negative reaction to anybody, that's yours to
Mhm.
own. It's
Right.
not because that person across the aisle or this table is out to offend you or hurt you or make you feel a particular way. And I have to check myself all the time too when I get
Mhm,
triggered.
mhm.
Because that's the thing too. It's not just other people outside of myself. It's me in the proximity of other characters where I'm like, that's triggering. Why? What is that saying about me? More about me than it has to do with them.
Right.
So I share that because I'm okay now with not being universally liked
Mhm,
and not being for everyone.
mhm.
I think a younger version I would have preferred 99% loving me and only 1%, and now I have to be okay with like more than just 1% not being for me or
Yes.
not choosing me to be the messenger for their life.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I learned when I was going through like public speaking development, was a great quote, which is like, you don't have to say anything different to make a difference. What that means is you undervalue how much just being a messenger counts, because you and I could literally say word for word the same advice and somebody go, Mo said it to me in a way that I heard it. Or I'm not here for Mo. And then I said it like, oh, I just love V and I love her energy and I'm Latina too. And like, and then it resonates
Yes.
with them.
Yes.
So we just have to keep putting out the mission
Yep.
and not take other people's choice of messenger personally.
Yes. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I think that when we have, wounds
Mm-hmm.
or beliefs that put us more in the victim
Mm.
of that,
Yes, sure.
we we can't get there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's a few things. Sometimes people do say things to us that is intended to hurt us. There are
Sure.
meanies in the world.
Sure.
There is that.
Have you met my grandma? Rest in peace.
So
No.
sometimes we are hurt by what
Yeah.
people say because they intended for that to happen.
Sure.
But with that being said as well, we have to know that that's part of the territory.
Yes.
There is
It does come.
an element, and maybe you and I have talked about this, but the Man in the Arena
Of
poem, like
course.
if you're in the arena, you're going to get
Course.
punched.
Brene Brown, baby.
Yes.
Mhm.
So your messaging basically is when you're clear with who you are,
Mhm.
which is mine too.
Mhm.
When you're clear with who you are as a
Mhm.
company,
Mhm.
as a messenger,
Mhm.
marketer,
Mhm. Mhm.
you're going to aggregate those who identify that way as well.
Totally.
And you are going to potentially alienate
Sure.
those who aren't on that page.
Which is okay.
Yes, which is the point of having an identity, because
Yeah.
nothing is for everyone except
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Except love and air. But as you progress on this journey and you're really helping other companies and organizations embrace their identity and be cohesive as a company, does
Yes.
that bleed into their operations and other aspects?
All the
How
things.
much does marketing go internal? V?
Marketing is everything. Because again, I define marketing as the ethical persuasion, keyword ethical, the ethical persuasion of getting somebody to do something in their best interest,
Mm-hmm.
good or self actualization. By that definition, every woman I've ever met is a marketer
Mm-hmm.
because we are ethically persuading our children to brush their teeth,
Yes.
our companions in life to make good choices,
Yes. Yes.
to convince the PTA, our local,
Mm-hmm.
town committee, whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
every woman I have ever met, every valuable, worthy leader we're all in the ethical persuasion of getting somebody to do something in their best interest. Whose best interest? Not ours, in the other
Right.
person's best interest. And I think that's the line of manipulation. What I have found in
Mm-hmm.
marketing is if I'm in the business of selling dreams versus helping you realize your own dreams. And that's where you'll see shitty marketers because they'll be like, oh, you should be a world class speaker. Well, I didn't have that dream for myself 45 minutes before the webinar started,
Uh-huh.
but I got convinced and now you sold me a $20,000 package
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
versus I already desire to be better. I already desire to be a more force of a leader, a more effective
Yes.
leader, better communicator, better woman, better everything. I desire that for myself and I'm done playing small and I'm done being complacent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then Mo goes, great. You have this aspiration for yourself. My stuff helps you
Exactly.
become that. That's the job of great marketing is you have to have your marketing messaging speak to her self-actualization, not sell her an idea of
Right.
self-actualization, help her become the thing that she already desires to become.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So it's so funny. I was just doing an interview with a storyteller. His name is Matthew Dix, and companies hire him to help them do storytelling to close more clients. But he's like, but if I help you close more clients, I help you become a better communicator in every single aspect of your life, with your children, with your spouse, with your colleagues, with your
Yes.
employees.
Yes.
I feel that way about marketing. Yeah, I'm going to help you do great marketing to your consumers, but if you understand great marketing and how to do it ethically, that also permeates in how you show up for your direct reports. That permeates in how you're going to get
Absolutely.
somebody in a different department who doesn't report to you to do what needs to be done for the embetterment of everybody's roles, right? Like that's the thing about marketing or storytelling or great communication and leadership skills. These permeate in every walk of life.
And can we also mic drop,
Yeah, I was out of breath.
also say that that is feminine energy on the
Oh,
spectrum of
yes.
masculine feminine.
Yeah,
Feminine energy is basically
love
helping
that.
to feed others, and masculine energy is go get the thing done.
Sure.
So I work in a world where we have to be both. We have to
Yeah,
be
same.
both outcome oriented, hit our mark, get the
Totally.
outcomes, and do it in a way that satisfies our alignment with our
Mm-hmm.
identity
Mm-hmm.
and our greater highest self and good.
Yeah.
And I think we are living in a world where that is the wave of both personal choices, but also as you're moving forward into sort of corporate consulting more,
Yeah.
companies are getting their soul aligned
Mm-hmm.
with their identity. And people who are more aligned with that are going to be more aligned with companies that's their walk and their talk.
100%. It's like a moth to the flame. Yeah.
Yes. As we wrap up here, I want you to
No.
talk about your book.
Okay.
I want you to talk about your book. Let's give the URLs or the
Sure,
shout
sure,
outs
sure.
to where they can find it,
Sure.
and really give you a lot of
I
outlets
know.
and people who can dive into what you're doing. Even
You
if you're not a
know,
marketer, this is good stuff.
well,
Go ahead, V.
everybody's a marketer, but
Yes.
also I love you, and I could be in your company for hours and hours. Actually, we have been.
Yes, we have
So,
been.
and I also just want to really quickly say, like, I really appreciate the distinction you made with like feminine energy versus masculine energy, because I'm a mother of 2 boys. I'm not
Mhm.
a man hater. No way. I birthed
No,
them,
me neither. Yeah,
literally
yeah.
birthed them. Okay.
Yep,
And
exactly.
I'm in a relationship with a man. I have 2
Yep.
little boys.
Mhm.
And so I have such a responsibility to teach them how to access both their masculine
Absolutely.
and
Yes.
feminine, as do I with myself as a
Yes.
female. Right.
Yes.
So I think that's very interesting. And I think that that conversation needs to be had more. So I'm grateful when I hear people talk about that, because it's so important that one is not worse or bad compared to
Right.
the other, right? It's just a balance that has been out of balance for so
Mm.
long.
Yes.
So my book, we've created a whole world for you, just as an FYI, right? So if you go to identitymarketingbook.com, you can buy the book, of course, but there's this section called Stuff of Legends. In this, you will find a quiz. It's a 5-question quiz that will tell you which chapter specifically to read, so that you don't have to go through
That's
35,000 words to get what is
beautiful.
distinctly, uniquely meant for you and whatever you're
Love
trying
it.
to achieve. So that was
Mm.
very exciting for us, because
Mhm.
I have an entire bookcase of business books. I have not read them cover to cover. I
Right.
know this to be true. I don't want you to read and fawn over me. I want you to
Yeah.
apply what
Yeah.
makes the
Use
most
it.
sense
Yeah.
for you. So we've created that. We've created a
That's
fun
lovely.
playlist that will channel your Black Mama, your Sasha Fierce, like empower that identity.
Mhm.
So we've created this whole fun, like Hogwarts world of identity marketing, but everything can be found on identitymarketingbook.com. And I'm just Veronica Romney. I'm V Romney everywhere socially.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the fire to keep burning
Thanks, love.
brightly here. The fire of V Romney and identitymarketingbook.com.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you are interested in anything around being a better human being, I think Veronica's book, even though it's a marketing book, is going to resonate with the tool chest.
Mm.
Um, you're going to have to do the marketing for me when I pull my book out
Oh,
of the
with
Universal
joy.
channel. Okay. So I think the beautiful combination of what you do on the marketing side
Yeah.
and what I do on the professional woman human side is so the same thing.
I
We're
agree.
like twins from a
I
different mother
literally
type of
agree.
thing. And I think it's where we are as humans evolving into our highest self, our soul identity, the truth of who we are and what we are about in this world. And it resonates with the corporate identity as well. And my clients want to work with companies that they feel congruent with.
I agree.
And this is more and more, I think, the push of people. The whole return to work thing, hybrid work from home, is just one aspect. There are so many aspects to what human beings want to participate in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as they're doing their work.
Mm.
V, you have contributed to the world in a great way.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you very much. And I love
Same.
your energy and your enthusiasm and your alignment and
Thanks.
everything. And thank you so much for being a guest on Soul Powered Revolution. We're starting something, people. We're
Let's do
getting
it.
souls to be the number one thing about who we are and what we do. Thank you, V Romney, my man, my woman, my
Homie,
marketing
your homie.
genius, my homie. How many different
Yeah, yeah,
identifiers
yeah,
can we
yeah.
get here? Thank you so much. And folks, if you like this podcast and you like what I had to say, Coach Mo, mofall.com/talk will book you a call with my team or I so we can explore whether we can help you out or not. V, thanks so much for joining on the Soul Power Revolution. Much love. And I'm a big fan of your book already,
Thanks,
having been
love.
in the early phases of it. Thanks so much. Everything that women face in the corporate world, in life actually, can be counterattacked, counteropposed by a woman's powerful internal sense of being. And I call that your soul power. I want to help more women understand their soul power, and I want to create a soul-powered revolution. This is Coach Mo, mofall.com.